I can feel the world in motion. Oh, it's spinning round and round. The meaning of devotion. Oh, your world is falling down. Your world is falling
Hello and a very good morning. Welcome to Weigh-In. We were treated to, as always, some fantastic racing. We had feature action from Mata, which included races for the girls, races for the boys, the stayers, plus, of course, we had Group 1 action coming in from Otaki, in which resulted in a Tiakau Quinella between Avantage and Prix de Feu. I'm joined by Michael Guerin on the show this morning. Michael, a very warm welcome and great to have you with us.
Morning, Em. Big hi to everybody. Thanks for joining us on Sunday morning. I can't remember a busier time, Emily, where we just seem to have every Saturday at the moment something really big's going on, and sometimes in multiple destinations across the Tasman, things that sort of feel like they really matter. Even a race like the Blue Diamond yesterday, which usually means nothing to us here in New Zealand apart from some pretty pictures, had such a really strong Kiwi flavour. What that means for you at home is we're going to try and tell you what happens next with all these incredible horses we have, and we'll talk to the man who is right at the epicentre of that storm and has been for the entire season, and that's Jamie Richards, who will join us shortly on the show.
He will. He'll be coming up very shortly on the show. To start with, let's kick things off with our domestic Group 1, the Hanui Farm Wait for Age Classic.
And as they turn Irish Flame, here we've got over on the outside the Mitigator, Shadows Cast, Prix de Feu over on the outside, and Avantage is getting home really well on the inside, and then the Chosen One. Here Avantage and Prix de Feu, Shadows Cast in the middle's having a crack, and the Chosen One, but Avantage in front. Prix de Feu, the stablemate, can't get her, and she was brilliant at the mile. Avantage got a Prix de Feu second.
It's pretty exciting. Second Group 1 on her. She's pretty quirky, but the team do a great job with her, and she's delivered the goods today.
Okay, it's been tough to come up the inside. She had the ability to do that.
Yeah, she did. I had a chat to Jamie before the race, and watching over a few of the previous races, they haven't been coming too wide, a couple of the winners, so we opted to stay in a little bit, and it's paid off. I was just mindful not to go too soon on her, with it being a mile today. Had to count to 10, which jockeys aren't good at.
She was so brave, seeing her go the inside and Prix de Feu go the outside. I thought they're going to fight at home, and so exciting. Danielle rode her beautifully, and it's an awesome team of owners here that are here to celebrate, so very exciting.
Okay, and Prix de Feu, he's stepped up to the mark today.
Yeah, he's up to the Group 1 company, so yeah, he'll go on with it. Very cool.
Was the shortest way home for Avantage, and she adds another Group 1 to her tally in what was a really exciting running of the Group 1 Hanui Farm Wait for Age. Could have gone either way, Michael. Shortest way home for Avantage at the inside. Really good to see Prix de Feu show his worth at that Group 1 level. Plus, the Chosen One closed it off strongly as well.
Yeah, I thought there were lots of horses here heading forward, and we'll hear from Jamie Richards shortly about where Avantage is going to head, but who have lots of promise coming out of this race. Avantage, as we can see here, is on the inside. And initially I sort of thought, wow, are you in the right part of the track, Danielle? But as we're going to hear, or as we did hear, that she spoke to Jamie Richards and said, you know, what do you think about staying down on the inside? For most of the day, people had been reluctant to go down there. But as it turned out, she handled it beautifully. The Mitigator, as we thought, would lead in a race with good tempo, because a lot of these horses like to get on with it, and for that reason they got into a pretty simple, easy sort of pattern. Most of the horses had no problems finding where they wanted to be. Prix de Feu really good, racing like almost a 2,000 metre horse. Wouldn't be surprised to see it maybe step up to 2,000 next time. But when you watch this here with Avantage, I kept waiting for her to start to maybe battle, or down in the heavy stuff start to struggle. But that Zabeel Broodmere sire blood really kicking in. She's out of a Zabeel mare. There had been some doubts about her at 1600. She'd never raced past 1500 before, but if you'd never seen her before, you would have sworn she was a natural miler.
Yeah, she's handled it so well, hasn't she, the 1600? She's skipped through it.
And look, she probably saved 3 or 4 lengths cutting the corner. Danielle, who rode her to win the Size Produce a couple of years ago. Prix de Feu really good, and so was the Chosen One, who hit a bit of a flat spot. Shadows Cast.
We've talked before the show, he's just
love.
a gun old performer, isn't he?
Yeah, and Germanicus, look, first time at Group 1, not sure the track suited him. The Mitigator looked a horse who had a hard run to start before, but again, I don't think he suited to the soft track. And Rondinella was probably the big disappointment. You've spoken to Robert Wellwood there, the track, the concern?
Yeah, he said, obviously, as you could see off the bridle from the minute that the gates opened, and from there they just had to take stock and say that it was most likely the track that was affecting the horse, and they would press on towards Ellerslie.
Yeah, I spoke to Bill Thurlow about Glory Days, who you would hope maybe hit the line a bit better. He wasn't over the moon, overly thrilled, so he sort of said, look, we'll back off for a week and see where things go next for her. But I think there was lots to like about the first 4. Avantage now, I presume Jamie will look at Sydney because it's quite wet over there and she can clearly get her toe into the ground. She has a lot of options. She's a Group 1 winner at 12, at 14 as a 2-year-old, and now at 16. And as I said, her dam is a Zabeel mare who actually never won below 2,000 metres. So there's lots of potential there that, who knows, maybe she might even grow into a horse who could handle 2,000 metres. So yeah, she's got a lot of options and a really imposing 3 Group 1 record, plus 3rd in a Group 1 in Sydney last year, and of course the Karaka Million, which isn't Group 1 but is listed. So an imposing record for a horse who we probably don't even think might be in the top 5 in the country, but maybe we're underselling her a touch.
She's going to be a very valuable broodmare as well. Let's get you to the beaten jockeys and hear what they had to say in behind Avantage.
He's gone really well, and he's hit the line well, a very good run, and just run into 1 beat on the day.
Good horse, great run, fresh up. The others 2 have been up for a little while, so he's on his way up on the boat to Sydney. And I think there's a very big race in this horse.
He went another honest race. He was probably just got there a little bit too soon, but he's just a genuine war horse, and he's out there, does his best every time.
He's gone super. He may not have been that comfortable in the track today. He's still a big baby as well, so I think next season's going to be his one.
Wrap with the run, look, to me she's a 2,000 plus horse now, and she feels good within herself, and next start about 2,000 she should be right there.
Interesting insight into the beaten jockeys in the Group 1 from Otaki. We've got Jamie Richards on the phone. Jamie, will say good morning to you. This is becoming so customary. The weekend comes around and it's just Group 1 wins for Team Tiakau. As always, a massive well done.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning, Michael. And yeah, it's a good position to be in, but it won't last forever. We need to be realistic, and we've just got some lovely horses around us at the moment and riding the quest of the waves, so we've got to make the most of it.
Jamie, let's start with Avantage and have a little bit of a chat about her. She's putting together a fantastic record now, as Michael was saying, 3 Group 1 wins, and you must have been encouraged by the way she handled the mile yesterday.
Yeah, really pleased with that, and her work at home had suggested that she was up to the mark. Didn't run bad at Te Rapa, just sort of got back and found the line, and the mile suited. I thought Danielle gave her a lovely ride. From the 1 barrier was obviously a help, but it was noticeable there was a couple of horses earlier in the day, Sweepstake and one other, that sort of didn't come out really wide, that kept up a good gallop. So I don't think it was a bad place to be down on the inner a little bit. They were sort of getting well off the fence, and she was able to come out a little bit further in the straight.
Jamie, what happens with Avantage now? Because clearly it's been quite wet in Sydney. She can get her toe into the ground. I presume for this season her Group 1 job is done here, so does she head across the Tasman?
We're just going to have a look at her for a few days, see how she does. I'm very pleased with how she trotted up this morning. She's a great doing mare, ate well last night even after the long trip home. So we'll give her a few quiet days and work it out. But speaking to Dave this morning, he's pretty keen to try and get her out to 2,000, and there's a lovely race at Ellerslie in 2 weeks for her. So I'd say that's sort of where we're headed at this stage with her, and then maybe a little freshen up for the Tiara breeders.
Jamie, we had Prix de Feu finishing into second spot in that race as well. What do you take away from that? That, again, another really encouraging effort by the horse, and so little between him and Avantage.
Yeah, I think he ran terrific. He's a very nice horse. He's done a great job this season for us. Might have just, he had to come a little bit wider in the corner. I'm not saying that you reverse the barriers and you reverse the result. I think she was really good, the mare, but if he hadn't had to go so wide, it might have been a little bit closer. But he's certainly done a good job, worked his way through the handicap system up to weight for age there now and beaten by a very good mare. It's got a great record, and he'll more than likely, as long as we're happy with him, he'll probably be in the 2,000 metre race as well in a couple of weeks. Otherwise, he'll be headed straight to the spelling paddock. He's done such a great job for us, and I think he's got it all in front of him next year.
Okay, Jamie, there's a lot of other moving parts on the chessboard for you guys, so we'll try and get through as many as we can. Now, one of them was the 2-year-old race at Matamata yesterday, where you quinelled the race, which is a great result for you. Were you surprised the second favourite could beat the favourite? Because Cool Isabel, of course, is a Karaka Million winner. Is this what we're seeing here? A, the emergence of a good horse, in need I say more. B, a victory due to track conditions. Or was the second horse just a bit vulnerable because he had a week off after the Karaka Million?
I think a mixture of all three, Mick. The big chestnut horse is on the improve. Need I say more? He's a lovely horse by a very good stallion. But Cool Isabel lost no admirers running second. He looked like he struggled in the ground. Now, he won the first race at Wanganui over a half mile on a heavy track. But I think there's a fair bit of difference between the quality of the opposition there at Wanganui in early September in that race yesterday. So I don't think he's a wet tracker. He's got too good a reaction for it. I initially thought yesterday he was going to get away with it, but the results show that he didn't, and he's going to tighten up really nicely for Ellerslie in a couple of weeks.
Okay, will they both definitely head to the Sistema at this stage, Jamie?
Cool Isabel, the plan is to head there with him. We're going to have a look at Need I Say More for a couple of days. He's a big horse. He's not carrying an excess amount of condition, and he's never left Matamata before. He's trialled there, raced there twice. He's done a fair bit of work right-handed up the back straight at Matamata, but it would be a very big ask for that horse to go to Ellerslie in 2 weeks' time, having not raced or trialled right-handed. And we're mindful of his size, and we want to do the right thing by the horse. So there's every chance that he could have a little break and just go straight to Manawatu, but we'll just see how that plays out in the next couple of days.
Jamie, we now turn our attention to Australia, where we had Melody Bell going around in the Futurity Stakes. You must have been buoyed by that first up effort over the 1400 on a day where the track was so biased.
Yeah, really pleased with that run. We were mindful that she was maybe half a run short and would improve with the outing, and I certainly think that's the way that she raced. Dad said she had a good blow afterwards, blew up over the back, so she's certainly going to improve into the All-Star Mile in 3 weeks' time, but I thought she kept up a good gallop, and she's going into the race in good shape.
You just tick her over then for the 3 weeks towards the All-Star Mile. Is that the plan from here?
Yep, it will be. She could have a little gallop somewhere if we think she needs it, but we'll just play around with her and keep her happy. And I think she's going to be a really good chance in 3 weeks' time.
With that natural little improvement, Jamie, is it getting to the stage now where the 3-year-olds, for example, Catalyst and Alligator Blood, might be the horses you have to beat? Because Colding was really poor, and the bad reports out of the camp this morning, he didn't like the track at Caulfield. I thought some of the others were just okay. It's not a super strong weight for age bunch. Could it be that a New Zealand horse from just down the road is the horse who stands between you, Melody Bell, and the All-Star Mile?
Could well be. I think there's, as you say, a little bit of depth lacking in the weight for age horses, especially the older horses. The 3-year-olds have been so good. But yeah, Alligator Blood and Catalyst, looking forward to the Australian Guineas next week, and we'll see how it all looks. But our mare's been. This race has been her target the whole preparation since she came home from New Zealand and since she came home from Australia, and hopefully we'll have her right on the day.
Jamie, we turn our attention to Sydney, and we had Probabeel in a trial there that was pretty impressive, just doing the job nice and easy towards the line. And where's Probabeel's obviously heading to the Surround Stakes. Reports all good from her?
yeah, happy with her. She's really doing well. She enjoys it over there. Bit of sun on her back, and she's been there a few times before, so she knows exactly where she is. As you say, trialled well. Really pleased with that. She did some nice work on Saturday morning, and we'll head over tomorrow and have a look at the both of them work on Tuesday morning.
The both of them, Jamie obviously touches on Te Akau Shark. Where's he at after the comeback victory at Te Rapa, which we're watching on the screen here? He was so good. And more importantly, the Sydney Big Wet would seem like it's not going to bother him too much, but Probabeel maybe operates better on top of the ground. So what are you hoping happens in Sydney over the next 3 or 4 weeks, track-wise?
Well, we'd like to see it improve a little bit, and it can get back reasonably quickly up there. So we just have to keep an eye on it and keep our fingers crossed that it is going to improve a little bit. Te Akau Shark's going really well. He worked nicely on Saturday morning. He took a few days to settle in, but that's him. And he will work on Tuesday as well and run in the Chipping Northern on Saturday. But yeah, obviously the championships can be run on wet tracks, so we've just got to keep an eye on that. And as you say, Probabeel, she's not a fan of it. Gets away with it, but in those really good races against those top fillies, she certainly appreciates better going.
Jamie, there's a lot of futures markets open at the moment. Just for those who are watching this morning who want to have a bet long term, we know Probabeel and Te Akau Shark are in Sydney. Is the plan to take Melody Bell post All-Star Mile there as well? And do you have anything else we expect to turn up in Sydney over the next 4 to 6 weeks?
Melody Bell, the plan is certainly to go to Sydney after the All-Star Mile. I'm not sure what race it'll be for yet. It's just a little bit tricky with the timings into either the Queen Elizabeth or the fillies in there's Mile Group 1, which is run on the same day. There's also the Epsom the week before, but she's probably going to be weighted out of that. So we'll get through the All-Star Mile in 3 weeks' time with Melody Bell before we get too far ahead of ourselves, and I think that's probably all. Got some nice horses there around us, the likes of Avantage and Prix de Feu, but if we look after them towards the back end of this season, they could be real forces to be reckoned with at Hastings in the spring, and mindful that they can't be at every dance.
Jamie, we've spoken to you a lot on this show. We do appreciate your time about your victories this season. One who wasn't in the winner's circle or even close yesterday was Te Akau Colourburn. Was that because he didn't handle the track in the Kaimai Stakes? And more importantly, for the people watching at home, is he still heading to the Auckland Cup?
Yeah, he was disappointing yesterday, guys, and Grillsy got him in a lovely spot, gave him every possible chance, but he said as soon as he came off the bridle in the ground, he couldn't get any traction, and by that stage of the day it was pretty testing. Both him and Scott Bass travelled well, let the heads go, no one home, so I think we've just got to put it down to the ground, but it does make it extremely difficult to be heading on to an Auckland Cup after a run like that. So we'll just have a look at him for a few days. Maybe we come back a peg and save him for next year. Plenty of different options for him. He's a horse that's got a lot of talent, but we just probably need to just take him quietly and give him a little bit of time.
Jamie, thank you so much for all of that information this morning. It's so great for people watching at home, and I don't know how you do it managing all those horses, but the results are speaking for themselves. So well done to you and the team at Te Akau.
Thank you very much.
Very promising yesterday, Melody Bell, I thought, heading to an All-Star Mile. Not just because she was really good, and she raced like a miler because it was 1400. But Colding, hearing the reports from Glenn Boss yesterday, said, look, didn't handle the track at all. Now, most importantly, the All-Star Mile's at Caulfield this year, as you know. So if you didn't handle Caulfield now, you can't go race there again, and you can't trial there again. So Chris Waller may be the absolute best, but I'm not sure how they get Colding to his peak for an All-Star Mile.
There was reports were saying, Opie said it was just so firm there yesterday.
Yeah.
And just the bias of the track, there was that fast lane, and if you weren't in it, you just couldn't really compete.
Well, I fully agree with that, because once you got more than 3 horses out, it was incredibly difficult to make ground. But Glenn Boss said, look, he just didn't get on the right leg at all. And when he flattened out, he didn't flatten out again at all. So if we're starting to think that Streets of Avalon gets into the race now, and he won really well, but that was because of the bias, one would think, I don't think it's a scary bunch of weight for age horses. Those 3-year-olds, which is probably going to be led by Alligator Blood and Catalyst, of course, I think they are the horses who stand between her and victory. And what's a $5 million racing? It's no small deal. It's come around so quickly for us. We don't sort of think about it, but this is a race in the ballpark, worth more than the Cox Plate.
I know.
The Caulfield Cup, and
just
in the ballpark
maybe quite the
of the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting time for Jamie, because he now has a horse who's not just a winning chance. She might be the best winning chance of the older horses.
Yes, it's exciting times for us Kiwis at home watching those top competitors across Tasman. We'll go into the futurity in a little bit more depth later on. We continue with our review package and we kick things off with Vanaza, who was successful in the Group 2 Mata Mata Breeders' Stakes.
Down to the 250, the fillies come, and the leader now, Vanessa Strode to the lead. Kelly Renee out wide, could be the Giant Killer. Then Opal Essence, followed on the inside by Benita Aurelia. Vanessa in for the fight. Kelly Renee's trying hard. In third spot, Benita Aurelia, but the favourite draws clear. Vanessa wins the Mata Mata Breeders' Stakes. Mickey Coleman, the king, gets his fourth in the race.
Yeah, that was just something special, Brendan. To be able to do that and come back to Mata Mata, and for so many different reasons, that race just means so much.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, this is a special place to you, Mata Mata.
Yeah, I was 30 years here, began training here, was on the committee for 14 years. The Swap family was so good to me, and they're sponsoring this race. So, and Michael Coleman, he's on it. Leaf's done a great job, but Michael and I started our apprenticeships together, so it's very special.
Yeah, well, you seem to get a very good run in the race. Things panned out well for you, and he presented her with the opportunity to see if she could let down, and she's done that. She's really gutsy effort.
Yeah, she's just kept learning, and we ended up in a perfect spot. We were a bit wide, but we had cover, and Michael must have had a handful of horse, because he presented her, he just popped out, and he rode a treat. So no, really good. And the other great thing is it's the first Cambridge stud bred group winner since the new ownership, so that's a bit special for the stud.
Certainly, and no doubt now eyes on trying to get to a Group 1 with this horse.
Yeah, obviously we just see how they come through, Brendan, but that was the plan. If we went well here today, we'd target Ellerslie.
Michael Coleman, congratulations. I'm sure that's a special win.
Yeah, it is definitely special. Lance and I more or less did our apprenticeships together with Jim Gibbs and Roger Jones in the early days, and it was really special to win this race for him. Big thanks to him and Joe and Lindsay, Joe and Brendan, and all the team at Cambridge. So it's been a great team effort, and she's a really lovely filly. Got a lot of scope, and probably what she's doing now, she should be better in the future. But master stroke by Lance getting me up to work on Tuesday morning. Just have a little bit of a feel of it, and it really helped me today.
She's just shown some class, hasn't she, to be able to get through these track conditions that, that are not 100% for her.
No, I'd say she's definitely better on a much firmer track than this, but she's a bit of class, and she's got good strength for a 2-year-old, so they held her in good stead.
As Michael and Lance alluded to, really special for so many reasons, that win, and it was an impressive win as well. Skipped through the track conditions and showed she was dominant in her grade. Yeah, well, she's bred to be good. She's by More Than Ready out of Zonza, who was a really good mare, and probably a mare we sort of have half forgotten a bit. But she won the Ladies' Day Vase at Caulfield back in her day, and was only beaten less than a length in the Livermore, or whatever it was called back then. Came wide here. The two fillies who got out widest dominated the race. Benita Aurelia got softened up a little bit early on, which probably didn't help her chances, but really like the way first and second found the line, and I'm willing to forgive absolutely on Benita Aurelia, because she did, as I say, get down to the inside there and work pretty hard. Like the second horse, I think she's a horse with plenty of scope, but they're going through a purple patch on the racetrack, Cambridge stud, they are,
Joe and Brendan Lindsay, because they had a really hard August to November last year. It was brutally hard. And I think a lot of people in the industry are happy to see these colours doing the job because of the enormous investment and enthusiasm they bring into it. She looks like a horse who's going to be a Guineas type horse next season. I know we often say that with 2-year-olds, but I don't think she's just a 2-year-old.
No, she's got plenty of upside, hasn't she?
And she's worth a stack of money. It's so good to see, More Than Readies and all these sort of horses and class fillies. And obviously they had Let's Be Glam and the Blue Diamond yesterday, which didn't work out the way they wanted to. But eventually they'll all be living at Cambridge Stud. And that can only be good for the industry here, because Australian buyers who love that sort of blood will come here and come to Karaka, and they might look at your horse, that sort of thing. So I spoke to Brendan Lindsay about it during the week, about Let's Be Glam. He said it's really crucial that we have these type of horses broodmares eventually in our country because they bring the right sort of buyers here. So that result yesterday, like Zonza's form of 5 or 6 years ago, might have repercussions for a long time ahead.
I'm sure it will. We've got a little flashback for you now because, as you might have heard Lance Noble talking about, he completed his apprenticeship with Michael Coleman, and here's a little look back at, this is Field Dancer, 1987 in the TVNZ Stakes, which was formerly the Zabeel Classic. And we've got just a left to right, Nelson Schick, you've got Lance Noble, Michael Coleman, Jim Gibbs.
Look, there's a lot to unpack in this picture, so we'll leave it up there for a second. First of all, the hair, okay, that's extraordinary. I'm thrilled that Lance and Michael have been mates for such a long time. Jimmy Gibbs's tie with the fade towards the top of the neck.
Stylish.
Yeah. Michael Coleman looks like he's 12 in that picture.
Yep.
And what's really upsetting is, well, no, actually more so, Lance's jumper is upsetting. And I remember this race. I watched this race. I was just leaving high school. What's really upsetting is that you weren't even born when this race was run.
No, I wasn't. This is a proud moment for me.
So I watched this, and I was probably betting by that stage. I'd probably been betting for 5 years, and you didn't exist.
I didn't exist. No.
Wow.
There you go.
Now, isn't it great though? Like Jim was such a big part of Lance's life, and as I said, at Matamata and Michael, and I was thrilled to see Michael win 3 years today because nobody doubts Michael's ability, and he's been really good to come on the show with us a couple of times, and everybody loves him. But it's so easy to be forgotten as a jockey when he did have that illness last year, and you miss a few rides, and it's hard to get the good rides, and he doesn't ride for Tiaka, and they've got so many good horses. So I was thrilled yesterday, and I think he was too.
He was. You could see that elation.
It was a really cool moment. So there's lots of cool stuff there, and that photo wasn't one of them.
Let's have a little look at what the beaten jockeys had to say in behind your winner.
Super happy with the run, was posted wide, came up halfway up the straight. I thought I had the winner covered, but just couldn't quite catch them, but very happy. It was a really brave run from her. She's been planted 3 wide on speed from the sticky gate, but to her credit, she travelled around the corner well. She probably just didn't kick as well as she can do with the more testing track conditions today, but I think Jenna may be looking to sort of maybe step up to 1400 metres down at Wellington, which I think should suit her if the track was good.
This is only second start for her, but she done quite well. Still a little bit keen early, but once settled, then she wasn't really struggle with this track. And then, yeah, long on quite well, so looking forward to it during the winter.
Really good run. So we've been 3 wide, we've had cover. I've followed the favourite in. She's run on really well, did her best work late, I think, over 1400 metres, and she copped the track today, which is a +2.
Beaten jockeys there in behind Vanazza. Let's get you along to the Waikato stud Slipper, which was taken out by Need I Say More. We touched on it earlier, but here's a little review of the race.
Snapper the leader from Need I Say More the outside, now coming round 3 wide. Cool as a Bill, just been noogered at to get there though. Then 2 lengths away on display from Trident, further away Jack of Hearts at the 200 metres. It's Need I Say More. Cool as a Bill is knuckling down, still a length away. Snapper trying hard on the inside, further back on display. Need I Say More is holding the stablemate Cool as a Bill, and Need I Say More goes back to back. Need I Say More won it second over, was Cool as a Bill. Third, I think, Snapper from the late finishing on display. Who made it in.
He was handling it good, and just the way I was travelling, turning in, I thought, you know, it's going to take some good, and that's handling it to get over top of him, and he's done it nicely. He's got a great attitude, and he's a lovely horse to ride.
Yeah, no doubt you would have had a close look at what he did here on debut, and he did everything professionally. He hugged the rail and was a good victor a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's done that again today too. He's got a good professional brain on him, and I think he'll go a long way.
I remember you even mentioning after his win here that you weren't too sure what sort of horse you got on your hands.
Honestly, he just showed absolutely nothing. He's just very laid back in his work. He got colty, we gelded him, put a hood on him and give him a bit of a hurry up at the trials here one day, and he really lengthened well. So he hasn't taken a backward step since then, and full credit to the team in the colt barn who have prepared these horses in such good shape.
Yeah, and both these horses are sort of got their eyes on heading towards Auckland, the Systema Stakes, or do you sort of want to split them? What's the sort of early thoughts at this stage?
No, I think they'll both be going there as long as they pull up well. Cool as a Bill's got a bit of improvement. The other bloke's pretty be ready. So we just got to tick him over for a couple of weeks. The only query around the winner is he hasn't been right-handed and he hasn't been to LSE. So we'll just have to assess that and see how we get on. But great to win a good race on your home track on the big day.
It's all right. Well done, Jim.
Thank you.
We spoke to Jamie a little bit earlier on, and probably the most interesting thing he said out of that was that perhaps, need I say more, wouldn't be heading towards that Group 1 for the 2-year-olds in a couple of weeks, but Cool Azabil, all being well, would press on. And I think it was pretty clear that Cool Azabil didn't handle the track, but to his credit, still managed to place.
He wasn't the only horse that yesterday didn't handle the track. A lot of them, we're going to see Levante coming up later on. Even Sapira, I don't think she really handled it, just dipping and diving, but I think he was probably the worst victim of it. He got crossed at the start, which I initially thought might have been a tactical error, but I just don't think he wasn't handling it well enough to hold the other horse out. I don't think it would have mattered. The winner, I think, I agree with Jamie not going to LSE. I can see what he's thinking there. He might be more of a Guineas type 3-year-old horse even than a more natural 2-year-old. They didn't sell many no-name nevers at the sales here last year. There weren't many in the country, but people liked the ones they wanted because he's based at Coolmore and he's been a really red-hot juvenile stallion in Europe.
He has, yep.
But as you know, that's not something we tend to buy into. We buy a lot more into the I'm Invincibles and the Schnitzels because we're more exposed to them. But a lot of buyers went to the sales last year trying to buy these horses. This horse was actually pinhooked out of Australia, so Kilgraven brought him across here, bought him there, brought him back here. And again, it's I think he's a stallion who the people who bought them were happy to get them, and now horses like this are going to wake the majority of us up to what they're capable of.
He's kicking some goals as a sire, that is for sure, by Scat Daddy, is no, nay, never. Let's get you along to the beaten jockeys out of the slipper at Matamata.
Run really well, just really struggled in the track. He dipped quite noticeably across the top, and then at about the 100 he dipped really bad again. Tough horse, tough effort. Look to see him back on a better track, he'll be away again.
He went very good today, behaved himself, and he's jumped in, ended up having to go to the front, and the track just tripped him up a little bit.
I was really happy with his run today. He struggled in the testing track conditions. He's such a athletic moving little horse. But in terms of his, jumped and led last time, today sort of raced a little bit further back and did things really well, which suggests to me that he might get 1400 metres later on this prep if he strikes another decent track.
Prevailing track conditions probably tripped him up a bit. He's run on nicely and done the best work on the line, so any further distance will suit him.
So the crucial thing out of that is track conditions affecting a lot of those 2-year-olds. We'll get you along to the stayers race, which was the Kaimai Stakes, and we saw Joe's Legacy kick for home at the top of the straight, unable to be caught.
It's Joe's Legacy in front here, leads by a length and a half from Roger that out in the centre, running on Master Painter and all in vogue. It's Joe's Legacy, Roger that's still a length and a half away, but Joe's got them, Joe and the King. Joe's Legacy for Michael Coleman, second over was Roger that, third all in vogue.
Yeah, that bell's ringing again, BP, ring-a-ding-ding, mate. The King he's back.
Well, talk us through the run of the race, Michael, because you seem to be travelling well underneath you.
Yeah, I travelled well, and I wasn't afraid to stay on the inside, knowing this track quite well, and the horse has got good wet track form, and he travelled sweetly for me, and he gave me a really nice kick when I needed it.
Yeah, and when everything was rolling off, you were able to save that ground, and you really put a good break on your opposition.
Yeah, he's a big, strong horse. He only got 53 on his back, first time in open company, so he's been running really consistency, a couple of times without a lot of luck, so he deserved a nice win like this.
Yeah, I suppose the King, he knows how to ride. He's had a blooming good day, so.
What were you thinking sort of as the race was developing?
I was quite happy. He was travelling good under him. He wasn't dipping and diving in the track, and Mickey had him in a great spot, and he really tracked in behind them, when he needed to be there, and he was still on the bridle, and well opened up for him, and he really went up to them, and it was great.
Yeah, look, it's a campaign where things haven't quite gone your way. You got close in a Dunstan final where you just needed that piece of luck at the right time, and then a close second recently to Sherwood Forest.
Yeah, no, that's right. Mickey after Dunstan come back in and said if he got the gap when we needed it, he would have won no matter what. And win a great race to Terra. It was a good horse to beat him, and Troy come off our back and just got us. So, but a lot of everything else has gone right for this horse, and he's always been a horse that we've always rated quite highly, and he's still getting there. But to step up to the open handicap grade like he did today, and it shows what we've we've got.
You're right. Well, you're still nominated for the Auckland Cup, so is that still the dream? That's in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, definitely is. It's been the target and the plan the whole way along, and we thought about Avondale last week, but thought, no, better come here, just give them that 2,000 metre hit out, keep them nice and sharp, and it's just down the road, so definitely after today, you know, we're heading towards the Auckland Cup.
A lovely progressive type is Joe's Legacy, and secured a win over the staying distance. And it seems like he's a horse who's consistent, hasn't had things perhaps go quite his way, but today everything came together.
Yeah, and beautiful ride by Michael to cut to the inside. It's easy to look at this, Em, and sort of think it might be useless as an Auckland Cup form guide because of the track conditions. And as we heard, for example, a Te Akau Caliburn-like horse unlikely to head there now, but maybe we're underselling this horse. It was only his third career victory, but he's actually out of a mare called Mia Bambino, who won over 3,210 metres.
Okay.
So he's actually bred to cop the 2 miles. Now, the weight scale in the Auckland Cup won't suit him because obviously set weights and penalties, he gets up to a lot bigger place in the weight and closer to the better horses. But good, strong, winning performance. Lots to like about Roger that. I thought he was really good, all in vogue, good. And Master Painton just seems to keep improving. Inscriptions in the yellow colours back there and finds the line well, but sure, it's obviously not an Auckland Cup horse. I thought really hard to make an Auckland Cup case for the rest of them back in the field. But if the winner turns up and goes a good race in the Auckland Cup, that wouldn't surprise me. It is difficult though because of the track conditions. We saw Gorbachev winning down at Otaki, and he carried 64 kilos in a race where there was an enormous spread of weights. He'll come to the Auckland Cup now, and he's obviously won a Wellington Cup, and so we know he'll cop it as well. So I think, I'm not sure that was the best Auckland Cup guide, but I think the winner might be a pretty nice horse. Here's that Auckland Cup market. So obviously Platinum Invader was good in the Avondale Cup, and he's the favourite. Azuro is confirmed to come now by OTI Thoroughbreds. Jason Waddell has secured the ride on him, which means if Te Akau Caliburn doesn't go there, Opie could well be looking for an Auckland Cup ride. So for anybody watching this out there, our best jockey may well be available. I can't confirm that, but it's possible. And there's plenty of depth down here. There's plenty of horses down the bottom of this market. The Roger That's and the D&Gs and those type of horses who you'd be happy to be on an Auckland Cup. So I think it's quite a deep Auckland Cup, but yeah, I think the track conditions are going to be crucial. And obviously we're hoping that yesterday was an aberration. Azuro is a horse who's only had 2 starts over 2 miles and has won them both in Australia. Won the Sounddown Cup over 2 miles and beat Sound and also Etta James. So this is a really good form guide to what we may see in a couple of weeks.
And we saw Etta James so competitive when she came
was
back
really
here.
good.
She was very good.
And she's suited by the weights in this race. So there's Azuro, who, as I said, has only had the 2 starts over the 2 miles. OTI, that's Terry Henderson and his Thoroughbred Syndication Company, have been setting this horse for this race for a long time. So typical of the French stayers, it probably doesn't look that explosive, but we know how good they are and just keeps on going. Etta James was good there and Sound, just peaking on that run. Those 3 are going to be at Ellerslie on March the 7th. So, as I said,
an interesting aspect, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Lots of different parts to it, even. As I said, Gorbachev's coming up and maybe even D&G being there. There's lots of parts to this and different form lines. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they all play out at Ellerslie.
Just to further on with that Auckland Cup picture, let's have a little listen to what the beaten jockeys had to say in the Kaimai Stakes.
Another honest run from him. He doesn't know how to put in a bad one. He always just seems to find one better. But the rain on the day suited him today, and you can never really count him out. And coming into the autumn, he's bound to pick one up soon, hopefully.
She enjoyed being in front. She caught the track well because we were concerned about that. She'll be one to watch in 2 weeks' time.
Great run, probably 700 out. I thought he was a winner. He just probably hit that ground and just probably floundered a little bit in the straight, but it was a super run and he tried hard.
I think she ran well, quite a lot of kickback, and then she was really behind that. And then just on the straight, I just couldn't give her much space, and then just couldn't run on really.
Look, he's run well. We got a beautiful run. He travelled so sweet throughout. Just with the heavy going, and he's probably had a couple of runs under his belt this prep. He's probably not on as fresh legs as he was 3 starts back. So he might have got away with it 3 starts ago, but today, well, just a little bit tough in the go, and he sort of grinded away at one speed, but he hasn't disgraced himself.
And that just scratches the surface of the features that we saw from Mata Mata yesterday. As we get you to a break, we leave you with the undercard, which featured some other glamour girls when we think of Levante and also Supera. Have a look at their dominant performances.
On the track, Amano's running on strongly. Flomaline, in fact, Flomaline's grabbed the lead short of the post and it'll go on and score. Running on strongly, Crafty Jess from a long way back. It's Tweedledee and Chip Chip Rock. Tweedledee will win it. Out wide of Midnight Magic. Our Alley Cat though, the cat is home here. Our Alley Cat raced away for the win. Levante took the lead at the 150, shooting for 4 from 4, and she has got it. Levante's too good. Here comes Supera in the centre and Popstar Princess. Supera, well, she gave us all a heart attack at the corner, but she's going to get up. She'll win it. Hunter Villain and Taiki Yanagita went clear at the 100 metres, and Hunter Villain is going to win the last. Gold bracelets, the leader here. Vent trying to have a shot at it over on the outside, but the locals grab the prize first of the day. Here comes Sweepstake, and Sweepstake and Maya Tyra from well back, blazed on by Too Good. Vancouver is eating up the ground over on the outside, is coming home really strongly and gets up, grabs the lead close to home. Wow, what a win. Still Satin Belt in front here, Police are all press, and a great ride there. Blue on black in front though, and they can't get the big powerful fellow. Though Black and Blue try to chase Blue on black, but he'll win and win well. Gorbachev in front, Skyfighter, Trending is coming back over on the inside, but Gorbachev in front, Trending's going to have another crack, but Gorbachev will win. Here is Bellanero and Lady Vera Woods putting him with a run out wide. Rio Star get into the line. Lady Vera Woods.
A recap of the undercard at Otaki for you. This time last year, we were celebrating Melody Bell's victory in the Group 1 Hanui Farm Weight for Age Classic. And hasn't she gone on leaps and bounds since then? We saw her take her place in the Futurity Stakes yesterday at Caulfield. She ran a solid 3rd placing. We heard from Jamie Richards earlier that he was very encouraged by this performance. It's been a leader-dominated day, a leader-dominated on the rail day. Super Seth was very game to end up running into 2nd, but she has a lot of improvement and she's finished it off very strongly.
Yeah, nothing not to like about this. I feel for the Super Seth camp because the leader bias didn't help them and they really want an autumn Group 1. Now, obviously the All-Star Mile's worth a stack of money, but it's not a Group 1. So they can't go to the Caulfield Guineas next week. It's too short for us. It's too short a turnaround.
Do they head to Sydney maybe and
bit
follow
of chat,
the Randwick
they might go to the
Guineas,
Rosehill Guineas. So the All-Star Mile still has quite a few different things we don't know about it yet, and the winner has accepted the wildcard invitation or the guaranteed invitation, so the winner out of that race will definitely go. Here is the market. Now, Alligator Blood and Catalyst, you know at home, are going to the Guineas next week. I spoke to Clayton Chipperfield this morning. First of all, he said, I want to thank everybody in New Zealand who's voted for our horse to get it into the All-Star Mile. So we really appreciate that. We appreciate what the media have done for us. They're excited. He said he galloped the horse yesterday as we go back and look at that absolutely stunning race last week. So Clayton came home for the week. He then galloped Catalyst yesterday. He said Damien Lane will come down to Mornington to gallop the horse on Wednesday. I said, what can we tell the people at home? He said he has absolutely improved since last week.
That's good to
I've
hear.
got no doubts that he'll be a better horse than the horse you're seeing right here when they do this again over 1600 at level weights next week. What a day we have next Saturday. Tiaka Shark and Proper Bills. Dragon Leap versus Two Illicit at Ellerslie in our derby, and these two bad boys having a crack along with Alabama Express joining them for the Guineas for $1 million next week, with the potential that Catalyst, speaking to Clayton this morning, is better than he was last week.
It's exciting, isn't it? It's
really exciting.
If you're a racing fan, it's a hell of a day out.
Yeah, it is, and look, the barrier draws are going to be crucial for that. So obviously we go Australian Guineas and then we head to the All-Star Mile. But yeah, the All-Star Mile, I think we've got two really good New Zealand chances because you keep thinking Alligator Blood that deep into the campaign, he's got to start getting tired at some stage. But so far, we've had no indication of that.
Let's move you along to the Blue Diamond Stakes, which was another Group 1 on the programme from Caulfield, and it was a Kiwi victory. That was Trent Busserton, Natalie Young, Michael Walker victorious with Tagaloa.
Tagaloa took the front. Hanseatic's a length away out in plenty of time. At the 150, it's Tagaloa. Hanseatic trying to wear it down. Tagaloa followed by Hanseatic, personal late. Tagaloa's gritty from Hanseatic. Tagaloa has won it from Hanseatic and personal.
To get a Group 1, wowee. Yeah, Chrissy, 3 days before Melbourne Cup last year, I couldn't walk. Since then, I've had an operation to remove nerves. Gary Zimmerman and David Young done a tremendous job, and pray to God that this is my last operation on my hips. It's had about 12 on it now. I don't want any more. I'm so happy that I could get one for Trent because I rode for his dad when I was 15 in Singapore, so to keep the ties with his family, it's really good. And honestly, Chris, he's a top class colt and he's only getting better with age.
I can't believe it. I'm a bit of an emotional wreck, to be honest. I'm usually a bit of a hard ass. It's unbelievable. Look, this was the target for this horse, being a Lord Cannanola. We brought him off Arrowfield. Fantastic Aussies here, great bunch of owners. I can't think of their names right now. To win a Group 1 when we're training here in Australia, it's been eluding us for a little while, and to win it with a 2-year-old is just unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you for everyone that's supported us.
A lovely, lovely win by Tagaloa, who was successful for the Kiwis at Caulfield. And there's plenty to talk about around this. The favourite, Hanseatic, was really, really solid in behind, made up ground on a day when that was tough. But a nice win for a Japanese-bred horse. Interesting, of course, Lord Cannanola, who's the sire, is the same sire as Almond Eye. So it's a good result for Arrowfield, who've invested so much into the Japanese horses.
Yeah, they have. They've got really strongly into bed with Northern Farms, have Arrowfield, and again, John Massara being very innovative there because we know the Japanese horses are just turning into world-class athletes. This horse has done a massive job. He sat 3 wide. I know that obviously coming back in the field was tough, coming from back in the field was really tough, but Hanseatic had a chance to catch him here and he just kept on going. Really calm ride by Michael Walker. He didn't panic when he got stuck out there 3 wide. He didn't push the button too early. This is a huge result for both the trainers and the jockey. We all know Michael is an immense talent and he hasn't taken the motorway to greatness. He's taken a bit of a weaving river-like path. He's had his moments, and lots of people in life have them, but there's no doubting his talent. And he's had a really tough year. He's had some really big injuries. I'm thrilled to see him. I think everybody likes Michael. I think everybody knows he's also partially crazy, which is fine because some people are. And he's a hell of a rider. For Trent and Natalie, this is a far bigger watershed moment because Michael's had those big wins before. They moved to Australia 3.5 years ago after they'd had a Derby success. So they'd had Group 1s before, but they hadn't had a Group 1 since moving there.
Okay.
And they've got Brendan Horton working for them now as one of their best friends, and they've just taken new space at Cranbourne. So they've taken another barn for up to 40 horses. So I spoke to Natalie during the week and they apologised they couldn't join us on the show this morning because I'm sure they're busy celebrating. But she said, look, we've got a huge team around us now and they're 4th on the Victorian Premiership and they're getting a lot more wins in town, which was difficult for them. So they hadn't trained a 2-year-old winner in Australia till this horse won back at the Valley, I think it was about November or December. So this is the market everybody in Australia wants to get into, the stallion making market. You're in with the big boys.
2-year-old speed.
Exactly. Everything that every horse trainer in Australia wants to get into, they've now nailed.
Yeah.
And this horse heads next to the Todman on March the 7th, which is the day we race at Ellerslie. He'll be in Sydney, and then the Golden Slipper. So they're now playing in a different level than they were playing at obviously 3.5 years ago when they moved from here, which was a gutsy move. But even in the last year, they've really up the ante. And as I said, things are going really well for them. They're very appreciative of the fact that Brendan's over there and gives them a nice secondary trainer. Here's the market for the Golden Slipper. We saw Farnan emerge yesterday in Sydney. Really impressive for the Waterhouse Spot stable, and Salsabill equally poor in the same race.
Really poor, yeah. I was pretty disappointed with Salsabill. I think it started about $1.85 and just didn't deliver, touted to deliver. I still little bit of interest around Away Game, who took out the 2-year-old Magic Million.
She was 4 wide yesterday.
Yeah, I thought she's maybe slipping under the radar. Tagalo is still good value as well, 51s into 11s. Hanseatic, he was very unprofessional in the parade yesterday, but obviously he can be unprofessional and still race well, because he showed that yesterday. He's got a lot of quality.
He is. He's obviously a very good horse. One of the others in that market is Rulership. He pulled up lame yesterday, or just a bit sore, maybe a foot sore from the hard track. But as good a race as that was yesterday, it's hard to go from the Blue Diamond to Sydney and take that form with you. That horse Farnham, who won yesterday, he might be the horse who's just ticking over nicely, close to home, and ticks all the boxes as a potential slipper winner. But that's obviously a long, long way away. Most of those horses will race again around March the 7th in the Todman, and then they'll head to the slipper 2 weeks later.
I did read on Twitter actually as well that Salsabil had pulled up lame following on from that race, so obviously there is some underlying issues there as well. We're going to move you along now, and we get to the Oakley Plate, which resulted in a win for the girls. It was Pippi on speed for Linda Meach, and Pippi was able to be dominant right the way to the line.
Isn't she a little beauty? And Linda was really soft on her here and just riding hands and heels until she had to go for her, because I don't think she had much left in the tank, but she had enough. As you said, she overcame the outside barrier, and it was the girls winning the Oakley.
I can't tell you how much this means to me. I've been starving myself for the last month, so just to make the weight on her, I wanted to do it really properly. I was a bit worried Monday I wasn't going to make it, but everything fell into place. Big thank you to Chris and to Jess Eden. She lived with me for the start of her apprenticeship, and she's been riding this horse work. She's been telling me just how confident she was with her, and what a great ride she would be in the Oakley Plate. So big thanks to the owners and Chris and everybody involved with it, because really I just got the fun part.
Well, tell us a little bit about your weight loss. You said you've been working at it for a month. What was involved?
A lot of fish and salad, I tell you. I'll be keen for a big steak tonight. I can naturally ride 54, but anything under that I really struggle. So there's been a lot of long runs and long walks and not a lot of food.
Well, it all makes it worth it today, because you are the first female rider to win the Oakley Plate. Congratulations, Linda.
Thank you. It'd be great if the Melbourne Cup would maybe next.
A lovely win by Pippi, and as we said, one for the girls. A big congratulations to Linda Meach, who becomes the first female to have taken out the Oakley Plate, and that's always a pretty momentous occasion.
It's not something we hear a lot about, our female jockeys having to waste, because they tend to be smaller than the guys, and I think the wasting thing's become a really big deal for male jockeys in this country, because it's just so hard to be 57 kilos, 58 kilos, and I think people are getting bigger. And I think it's made even harder by the fact that in Australia they have night gallops. I would hate to think if I was, because Friday's the day most jockeys don't eat much, as you would know better than anybody. For example, I've spoken to James McDonald about it. He said on Friday he's a cup of coffee and sometimes a snack. Well, if you're riding late on Friday night at the Valley, and then you have to rock up on Saturday on minimal sleep and ride again without
it's a double
much food.
Shift, really,
Is
isn't
it?
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. So, and it's so rare you hear the female jockeys talk about it. So Linda obviously had to get down to a really lightweight there, but that whole night racing times wasting to get people down to thing, it's not going to end well one day. And I'm glad we don't have night racing because of that, because you can't get out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and still be working at 11 o'clock at night doing a dangerous job.
Yeah, it's a real tough ask for the jockeys and actually everybody involved in the racing industry. We move you along to upcoming events here in New Zealand, which of course is going to be the Derby coming very soon, 29th of...
Now, I asked you last week, have you made up your mind, because I'm not sure I'm right, but I'm going with Dragon Leap and I could well be wrong. I've got the feeling you want to go with Too Illicit.
Yes, I'm going with the girls. Too Illicit for me.
Are you going with her because she's a chick, or are you going with her because you think she's the better chance?
We talked about it together and we said it was actually very hard to split them, but I'm going with her because she's beaten him before. Vinny's a Derby king, Roger James has won derbies, so it all adds up for me.
I'm the same as you. I could have easily flipped a coin and gone the other way. They're both just such wonderful horses, and well, Dragon Leap we saw just 8 days ago, and he was so damn good, he's so damn good looking. Spoke to Andrew Scott this morning, he said, we're thrilled. We couldn't be happier. I wanted to give people at home the best information about what they expect. I said, if they go really hard, will your horse cop the staying distance, or do you want a slowly run derby? He said, we think it's going to be a hard run derby. We don't know whether he'll cop it, but we hope he will. Jason Wadella's come and had a couple of sits on the horse, the new rider. They're as confident as they can be without knowing, because I suppose until you go to a derby distance, you just don't know.
No, you don't know. And I had a good chat to the team at Kingsclear around to elicit. Vinny rode her yesterday morning. He was really happy with her. She's thrived since the Waikato Guineas, and she's going to have one more hit out on Tuesday morning, and they feel that that'll have her absolutely spot on. I think I was at the stable last Friday. She looked great. You wouldn't even know she'd had a run. She's not an overly big horse, she's quite lightly framed, but she's super athletic, and yeah, looking forward to seeing them. What a race we're in for. It's a match race, isn't it, between those two, and imagine if they could pull away down the straight.
I think it's one of the more classic them versus us type races I can think about in recent thoroughbred history, because Dragon Leap cost a stack at the sales in Sydney, trained in Matamata, one of our two big areas for training in the Waikato. Obviously this team hasn't won many derbies. Their jockey's a guy who won a derby recently, so there's that bunch, and it's a boy. Versus a girl, trained in our other big area from Cambridge, ridden by a derby jockey of the century, trained by one of our great derby trainers, and by Jimmy Chu, where she wasn't, okay, there's a lot of breeding on the dam side, but you're not going to be a horse who goes for $1.50 million at the Sydney sales when you buy Jimmy Chu. They're so diametrically opposed, it sets us up for a really cool next Saturday, and we're going to have heaps of preview shows heading into it, Emily, to give everybody at home who's excited about this and excited about Caulfield, all this build-up.
Let me give you a little bit of information around that derby coverage. So you've got the first call Derby Day special, 7 till 9 p.m. You can watch that on YouTube and Facebook. The Derby Day coverage, that'll kick off with the Punters Lounge at 10 a.m. Freeview Channel 200 from 10 a.m. And really important is the Facebook feature, which is going to kick off from 4:40. It's going to be live, and it's going to give you exclusive, uninterrupted coverage and build up into the features at Ellerslie, plus the Surround Stakes, Chipping Norton and Australian Guinea. So that's going to be a really good watch. That's live on Facebook from 4:40, uninterrupted coverage and build-up of Ellerslie, Surround Stakes, Chipping Norton and Australian Guineas. Watch and bet. Spark Sport. So there you go. Hopefully you're able to have taken a screenshot of that, and no doubt we'll be previewing it throughout the week to make sure you're all across the derby, which is imminently approaching us. So that's it. We've done and dusted. It was.
Next couple of weeks is going to be great fun. A special time in racing. We'll try and do our best to make sure that you know everything you need to know.
And so we say a very good morning and enjoy your Sunday.